Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. I'm joined by very special guest Lee Camp, host of Redacted tonight on RT, and also a contributing writer to Truth Dig and Consortium. I was calling it Consortium, but why do we need you? That's the problem of the public school I went to.
It really can't go either way because I believe the editor-in-chief there calls it Consortium. So you do you.
Tomato, Lee.
Yeah.
So we talked earlier about your article in Consortium about how the billionaires have profited so much just during this pandemic, not to mention the CARES Act and all this other stuff. So as we stand right here, right now, in month 3, basically, of the pandemic shutdown, parts of America are starting to open up a little bit. Where I live, I see some stuff opening up, but really, they're talking about spending another stimulus plan. We've had 3 weeks now of pretty consistent Black Lives Matter protests because of the murder of George Floyd. The first week of them got violent. I put that in quotes because it got violent because the cops showed up in riot gear and instigated shit. And the second week of protests weren't as violent because cops didn't. I went to one in Santa Monica, had cops almost run me over and saw it get out of control. And then I went to another one like a couple days later. Cops were hanging back. I went to one in Echo Park like last Saturday. No cops around, thousands of people marching peacefully, and ended up stopping in front of the city council member. So everybody in Echo Park could realize this is your this is your in 13th district, this is your city council member. So I'm bringing all this up because we're in this very obviously tumultuous time, and I personally see a lot of positive stuff happening. What's happening in Minneapolis and Seattle, their city councils have been very, within the span of about 2 weeks, have already passed up to defund the police. And then I'm seeing, 2 black men were literally lynched in Palmdale and Victorville, which are both about an hour or so north of Los Angeles. And it was always ruled suicides. And, so I every day I kind of go back and forth like, wow, this is going to be real serious change. We're going to get through this. Like, it's amazing to see all these young people in the streets. And then I go, oh God, it's too late. I don't know. So I don't know. Like, what is your sense of all of this as somebody that's been a political comic for a long time and covering this on Redacted? Where do you think we are and what's going to happen?
Well, I do think that change this extreme, if it continues, it is never easy. It's never, you're always going to have pushback. You're going to have the uneducated getting furious. You're going to have the various propaganda networks trying to stop it. I saw Fox News had to retract something because they, did an article about the Seattle Autonomous Zone and tried to act like it was just like on fire and chaos. And so they had created a montage image of like an activist with a like semi-automatic rifle, and they put that in front of a flaming building and said, this is the autonomous zone. And it turned out that the image wasn't real at all. And like they had to retract half of it because, they just wanted the autonomous zone to look scary and for people to flip out. So you're going to have that kind of propaganda. But I want
to interject this real quick with regard to that because just to point something out here, Ron Placone interviewed this comic up in Seattle that's in the autonomous zone. And that guy was saying people in Seattle are seeing those blatant lies by the corporate media and then going down to the autonomous zone, and it's actually radicalizing people. They're like, oh, this is complete bullshit, and they're getting more involved. So right. I just wanted to throw that. When I heard that, I was like, oh, wow.
That is always interesting when the mainstream corporate media can be caught by people who didn't even, like they don't even mean to be questioning the mainstream media, and they're like, no, I'm there, and it's not like that.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It was like, I'm standing right in front of it. This store is not being extorted. It's actually giving out food and water to people. Like there's.
Yeah, exactly. But like you said, there's been a lot of positive change. I do believe a lot of it, whatever percentage, 70, 80% of it is kind of window dressing. It's designed to get people to give up and go home. Mm-hmm. things like no more chokeholds. Yes, cops should not be using chokeholds, but if that's where you stop with your chains, that's like people say, that's like the cops saying, well, we promise, because you seem upset, we promise to kill black people by other means. All right, we will no longer choke them. We have various other devices we can use. So I mean, yes, absolutely, no chokeholds, but that needs to be the step one. It has to keep growing. And the painting Black Lives Matter on the boulevard out front of the road out front of the White House, which I've been there many times, and it's fine. I'm glad you painted that, but that's not the change people need. They need a complete restructuring of the policing, the incredibly racist but incredibly class-centric policing system we have in this country that is designed to keep an entrenched class structure where the poor and minorities are held down and locked up in the largest prison state in the goddamn world. And so, yeah, I do believe there's been a lot of very positive and impressive change to come in a very short period of time, but people need to stay vigilant and stay active and not give up the push for very large scale change.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, the DC mayor, that's such a great example. Painting Black Lives Matter, great step. But then he literally increased funding for the police department. I mean, it's like, that's where people need to stay on top of it. And that's why I'm optimistic, because so many like people under 30 and some of them even under 25 are just leading these protests. And that's the social media generation. They grew up getting all their information on social media. They don't watch the corporate media. I mean, you and I grew up watching traditional media and then have slowly, come around to seeing the lies of it, where they're just like, it's all nonsense. And that's the thing I say, I feel the same way, like, don't fall for the window dressing, and don't fall, because I'm at these rallies and I don't see any Biden 2020 shirts, none. At all. I see some fuck Trump shirts, and look, I think Trump is awful, but if we just fall into this, we got to get rid of Trump, and then let's say for whatever reason, let's say Biden wins, and then are half of these people going to fall asleep? Like when Obama got elected, they all fell asleep and went to brunch, and then Obama dropped more bombs than Bush and created more war crimes than George Bush, who is a war criminal. So like,
right, and people, and I know you've talked about it, people need to remember that half of what people are protesting right now was put into place by Joe Biden. I mean, he was Mr. and continues to be largely Mr. Police. He, his crime bill that he, pushed through with Bill Clinton as president, doubled the prison population, making us per capita the largest prison state in the world. 1 out of every 3 black men is somewhere in the system, either in prison or on parole, or somehow connected to the imprisonment system that we've created in this country. It's a goddamn crime against humanity. And Joe Biden was front and center and bragging about it. So yeah, I don't see a lot of change coming from Biden or Trump.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I've even had some young viewers on my show in the live chat ask me, so Graham, I'm 19, I'm 20, what do I do? And that's the thing I always tell them is, don't fall for this. Like, and once you get one thing that you really keep going, now we want this, now we want that, because, and I'm glad I'm starting to hear calls for defund the military, because the way we operate internationally is the way we operate domestically. It's the same thing. We don't have money for schools and housing, but we got money to arm the cops. It's the same thing. We don't have money for free healthcare and free college, but we got money to bomb Yemen, the poorest country on the planet. We've got the money, and 85,000 kids have died there. And so I'm hoping people who are waking up, especially middle class white people who are like, Jesus Christ, I didn't realize, how bad it was. It's like, we need to realize how bad it is. It's not surprising. We bomb the shit out of 7 countries. We don't care about, we kill them. We're sanctioning countries in the middle of a goddamn pandemic. We're killing people left and right.
Just this week, new sanctions went into place on Syria, as if we haven't destroyed them enough, as if their lives aren't rough enough in Syria. We really need to to crack down on the bustling economy of Syria.
Yeah, it's not surprising that then we got a nightstick, people living in tents, and people that are hungry, and people that are just like, I mean, what just happened in Atlanta? They just they and this guy resists. Sure, okay, he's resisting arrest. He runs away, and they shoot him. They shoot 3 bullets. 2 of them, they shot him in the back. Like,
yeah, I actually saw a cop on one of the CNN or something, or a former cop, saying exactly what the truth is, which is, in that moment, that cop was not thinking this guy's dangerous. He was thinking this guy's not going to get away with, evading me.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to get away with grabbing my taser or whatever. So it really is kind of a ha-ha, fuck you, I win.
Yeah.
But you just killed a person.
Yeah.
For that was not dangerous. That was not going to harm someone. You've just killed it. And it was similar with that one is North Carolina, South Carolina, a couple of years ago, where the video came out of the guy. Basically, he was trying to arrest someone. The guy ran off, and he shot him in the back and killed him, and considered it like an average day at work. And it's the most disgusting form of policing. It is police that are steroided up. They're not in their right mind, and they're thinking, I'm going to win this battle by shooting this guy.
Yeah.
Which should never be a thought in any police person's head. And you're right that the militarism overseas comes home. Everything that we do overseas then is done on our own civilian population. Many of the police officers have PTSD. Many are former soldiers.
Yep.
And I once was told by a former sheriff deputy or something that basically he saw 2 types of guys in the police departments and sheriff departments he worked in through his career. There were the guys that were former military, and so they treated the job like a military, like a war against citizens.
Yep.
And there were the type that were not former military, but they were the ones that basically looked to the military guys to show them how to behave. So you basically have a military force on our own streets at war in many ways with our own population.
That's how they look at all of us. And that first week of the protests where the cops just showed up, I mean, I was talking to not just what I saw from the Santa Monica Police Department. They showed up, automatic weapons, riot gear, and they just looked at you like an enemy combatant. They're not going to hear any reason. I mean, just try to reason with any cop in any situation. Yeah. They just go into that robotic, sir. No, sir, I'm going to need you to sit down, sir. No, I'm telling you that that guy just broke into my sir. They just shut you down. They just treat you like you're subhuman. And Fiorella, who's on the Convo Couch, was on her show. Her and her brother were arrested, and they were like, "We're journalists," and they're like, "Not today, you're not." And they just treated them like less than human. And that's how. And the thing about what was significant about that first week of the protest is on social media, everybody saw every police department in every city acting the same way, beating the shit out of people, shooting rubber bullets. So, it's like, I want to believe that there's significant, and people are just like, they've had enough. And I hope they don't fall for the incremental change. I get worried when I hear like gun sales are up, and,
well, the establishment Dems did wear the Wakanda cloths. So I think that pretty much solves the problem. I think.
Boy, if that's just like, if you're like a white person, you're like, Mom, Dad, I'm bringing my black friend to dinner. Just don't be weird. And then they wear those. Like you're like, oh God, like you've never worn those before. Why are you wearing them now? Like, oh God. So I don't know, man. Aside from the big victory of the Wakanda cloths, what other things are you? I mean, and the progressive Democrats are just done. They've got nothing now. Like there's no. I feel completely abandoned by any of the Bernie, the AOC, Tulsi, the Squad. I mean, now their tweets. I'm just like, what are you gonna do?
I haven't been paying much attention. I know that a few of them, Barbara Lee and some of the others, maybe Ilhan Omar, were the ones putting forward the bill that was going to take over $300 billion out of the military. So
that's good.
Even though that bill will never get through the House, I like the idea. But I haven't been paying attention to the tweets, so maybe they're not good.
They're just a digital Wakanda cloth, is really all that those tweets are.
But you mentioned the attacks on journalists, and yeah, that was nationwide as well. You know, one of the worst ones I heard was a friend of mine, Nicole Roussel, who's on Loud and Clear with Brian Becker and John Kiriakou. She's a producer for them, and she was there, and she had her press badge, and she was trying to, you know, hold it up. She said she made eye contact with the cop, and she's saying, you know, I'm press, and showing the badge. And at that very moment, various cops shot her 7 times with rubber bullets and stun grenades. And besides the massive welts from those, she was also then trampled by cops pushing people back and everything. And she's had some serious injuries. And Jesus. It seemed very clear that it wasn't like, oops, we hit a reporter. It was like, we know you're a reporter, and here's what we think of that.
Yeah, there's that example. There was footage of cops slashing the tires of cars they knew were reporters, like reporters parked away from the protests and put like press credentials in their cars so they wouldn't get messed with. And there's literally footage of cops just slashing their tires. I mean, it's insane. Like it is insane. Like this notion that we live in this free-flowing democracy. No, we live in a police state, man. Like,
well, they realized what it really is. I think what it comes down to is they realize they're not accountable to anyone. I mean, the odds of a cop being actually punished, actually prosecuted for something like injuring a reporter or something is basically zero. The combination of the fact that they're in bed with the prosecutors generally in almost every state, with the fact that their unions, police unions, are just so powerful that, you know, they literally can't be prosecuted a lot of the time. And then you look at the numbers, and so it shouldn't be a surprise that of the you know, and this was NBC News was reporting this. This is no hidden you know, conspiracy theory. That since 2005, so you're talking, you know, roughly 15,000 Americans have been murdered by police over that time. And there's been 3 actual convictions of cops for the highest level of murder, for actual murder. 3 convictions out of 15,000 murders. And that's a conviction rate of like 0.021% or something, you know, 1/40th of 1%. It's basically they have the right to kill anybody they want at any time, and they'll see little to none in terms of punishment.
99% of cops that kill people are never even charged.
Yeah.
You know, and in the case of the unarmed black men, the big ones, the cases that get a lot of press, they get charged, but they all get acquitted. They all get acquitted.
Right.
And it's like, and it's even like, oh wow, even female cops and black and Latino cops get acquitted, and it's just like, oh, the diversity of a police state. Yeah. Oh, just yay.
Well, and then you know, the racists and the Fox News crowd like to go, well, actually, more white people are killed by cops each year than black people, and they say it just like that. And the truth is, yes, more white people are killed by cops each year, almost, or I believe every year. However, here's the thing. Most of those white people are brandishing guns and knives. Now, I'm not saying they should be killed, but it's more understandable that they were killed by cops than the black people that are being killed, way out of proportion of the percentage of, you know, black people in America. So they're 13% of the population, and they're like 30 or 40% of those killed by cops. But many of those black people, most of those black people are not holding a weapon.
Right.
So that's the difference is, as a white guy, you really got to do some shit to get a cop to kill you. As a black guy, you could have a fake $20 bill and you can be executed.
Executed in the streets. Executed in the streets. Yeah, that's such a crazy notion. And then even if people go, well, a bunch of these white people who were unarmed were killed too, all the more reason to hold the cops accountable then.
Yeah.
Like, they could kill anybody.
That doesn't make it good.
Yeah. Oh, great. We can get murdered for no good reason too. Like, what? That's not a good answer to your question. And it's just like,
right.
And then they defund the police. Oh, they always overreact with, oh, so we're just going to let what Girl Scouts patrol. No, defund the police means like again, using Los Angeles as an example, we spend 54% of our city's overall operating budget, $3.1 billion. What if we took half of that, $1.5 billion, and put it towards homeless and had community outreach? A guy with a gun and a badge shouldn't be dealing with homeless people, shouldn't be dealing with somebody with mental illness. Yes, we need investigators for, human trafficking, child pornography, domestic violence, gang crime. Sure, if someone is like holding up a bank with a gun, okay, sure. But like, why are we sending, and just the beat cops that walk the beat, they shouldn't have a gun on their hip. They should have one in their car in the event some real shit goes down. But like,
right, I do like a 10-minute bit on my comedy special, which people can watch at leecampamerican.com for free. But I do like a 10-minute bit about cops shouldn't do like 90%, exactly what you're saying, like 90% of the things they're doing. Even if we as a society decide we want to enforce speed limits, okay, well then let's have a speed limit patrol. Yeah. And it'd be little old guys in yellow vests who pull your car over and they tell you you've been going too fast, here's a fine, or they take a photo of your license plate and send you a fine, whatever it is. But those guys don't have guns. Yes. And they're not looking for reasons to shoot people. And no one would shoot the speed ticket patrol guys because that would be bizarre. It'd be like killing your mailman. Yeah. And that should be most of what cops are. Like most of what we use cops for should be that. Yes. Like, every time there's a mentally ill guy pissing in your fountain outside, you should call a mentally ill hotline that sends a group of nice people to come and deal with them, not a goddamn guy with a gun.
Yeah. And you de-escalate them. And one of those nice group of people maybe has like a stun gun in the event the crazy guy has a knife or in the offset chance. And if you deploy that thing, you have to go through a huge, and like, that's the other thing. If we spent money for the housing, and I don't mean cots for homeless people, I mean, get an apartment complex, studio apartments, 1 bedrooms that has drug treatment, mental health treatment, job training, it has AA meetings, it has all this stuff. And if there's somebody who's so like schizophrenic or bipolar or something like, then they get treatment and they get taken care of. Like, what kind of a heartless, evil society are we that we're just like, oh, you were born with a weird brain? Suck it, idiot. Like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, chemically imbalanced. Like, what?
I know. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, he's really not very bright at all. He needs to work harder. You can't work harder at a low IQ. He needs to work harder. It doesn't even, it's such crap propaganda. And, bright red Utah, I can't remember if it was just Salt Lake City or maybe it was the whole state. But they found out that, guess what? You give every homeless person a small apartment with a caseworker for free each year. It costs $16,000 a year. And that's less than what it costs to have them on the street, because you're paying for all of the, police to deal with them. You're paying for the emergency room visits, the ambulance to the emergency room. You're paying for all that. So it's actually cheaper to give them a goddamn apartment.
And dignity. And human dignity costs less. So if you're just crunching the numbers, human dignity costs less than treating somebody like a rabid animal.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Lee, thank you for taking time to join us. Where can people follow you, find you, read your work, follow your stand-up, all that business?
The main place to go is just leecamp.com. I'm doing a live stream this Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and that will be at youtube.com/momentofclarity.
Nice. And I know you emailed me and you have this idea about you and I doing a podcast, which I love, and we'll talk more about it. And then you went on vacation.
No, now that I've talked to you more, I'm done with that idea. I'm not a fan, not a fan.
Damn it, I talked my way out of another gig again. I'm so stupid. But yeah, because I know you went on vacation and then the military occupied my city, so we were a little busy.
Right.
But we're just give fans a little teaser. Lee came up like, let's do a podcast. So we're going to talk more, and maybe we'll come up with, I don't know, tight t-shirts and vodka will be the name of the show. I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas.
I'm a fan of one of those things.
Well, Lee, man, thank you so much for coming on the show today, and stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey, everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.